This is the Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. Come, let us explore this non-duality shift for which you have been waiting, followed by group meditation. Here in the West, we've been told to believe that belief can change a reality. No, it can't. We've been taught that if we want to practice non-duality, we have to believe in non-duality. No, you don't. Belief is nothing more than rigidity, and it's antithetical to flexibility. And let's go over here for a moment. Let's see. We can be flexible or we could be rigid. I recommend the path of flexibility. So allow me to remind you that the seventh fold of the Buddha's eightfold path is mindfulness, and that the first enlightenment factor is also mindfulness. Therefore, any so-called spiritual practice which strives to undermine our perception of physical pain or emotional pain is actually chipping away at our own mindfulness. So let us shift our paradigm of non-duality away from perception and instead towards a remedial approach. How does that work? It means that we have the same approach to everything we experience, whether that which we experience is beautiful or ugly or harmonious or discordant or pleasurable or painful or fragrant or foul or delicious or disgusting. We have the same remedy for everything, whether that which we notice is external or internal or physical or mental or pleasurable or painful or interesting or boring or glorious or grotesque. What is that universal remedy? It's twofold. As we breathe in, we have already evolved to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, which has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice. The rule of thumb that helps us to maximize the efficiency by which we watch mind's antics is to simply silently and mentally recite the verb watch every time we feel our lungs, our chest swell with breath. The second universal remedy is as follows. Every time we exhale, we are already wired to automatically access the tippy top and the very bottom of that same spinal cord in a manner that helps us to physically relax and mentally release in such a manner that that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and even as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion, the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand. This is not something to believe. This is not something to visualize. This is not something to understand. It's a visceral experience latent within every exhalation. And so it's not our job to force this. It's our job to cooperate with this process that's already locked in thanks to evolution. The most efficient way, therefore, for us to rest in mind's non-graspable aspect is to simply silently and mentally recite the verb rest every time we feel our chest subtly sink as gently we exhale. So because we practice this exact same process, regardless of whether that which we've noticed is external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque, because we have the same response, which is to watch and rest, therefore our remedy is non-dual. We're not actively shoving at one. We're not trying to reach for something else. One of the very, 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 very sad things in any spiritual system is the pretenders to the throne. The original founder of any spiritual system is pretty awesome, typically really loving and wise. And after a while, just like moths are drawn to a porch light, there are people who are drawn to positions of power and authority and prestige. These people are excellent at being political creatures, but they're terrible at mastering the teachings. These are people who are rather be rigid than flexible, fearful than loving, superstitious than rational, controlling than laid back. They'd rather be elitist than egalitarian, cryptic than lucid, competitive than cooperative, cruel than kind. And these are the people who forsake non-duality. And they say, well, yes, if you have love, you should increase your love. And if you have hate, you should minimize your hate. And then the methods they give are non-spiritual. Oh, yes, yes, you should concentrate on love and contemplate the perils of hate. Well, that isn't how that works. We have an anterior cingulate gyrus. That's the seat of our empathy. We have an amygdala. That's the seat of our aggression and our anxiety. We don't pacify our amygdala by exhausting the area behind our forehead. How do we pacify our amygdala? By cooperating with both facets of our autonomic nervous system, by vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly watching and resting in harmony with our phases of breath. Our amygdala automatically calms down. Our anterior cingulate gyrus automatically is gently stimulated. This isn't because of belief. This isn't because of pseudo-intellectual mental gymnastics. It's because we are simply cooperating with our autonomic nervous system. That is why the Buddha was able to teach that one could master his path in as little as 7 days. Oops, wrong button. Let's see, I think I made a boo-boo. Okay, let's go over here. There we go. So as I've mentioned a few moments ago, every time we exhale, we experience the metaphor of emptiness. Every time we exhale, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation feels a little bit less tangible, at least for a moment, until our next inhalation, when the cycle begins afresh. let's talk about visceral reframing. This is where non-duality really kicks in. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever ugliness or beauty we might have seen during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the simplicity of just a sight. So we're not calling ugly beautiful, we're not calling beautiful ugly, we're just zooming out. It's kind of like imagine, if you will, we're watching television and the camera's all the way zoomed into the line of scrimmage on a football game. And it can be very, very exciting. But if you pull out far enough, you see that it's not just a bunch of people with different color uniforms knocking each other. They're actually a bunch of people on a patch of grass. And if you zoom out even further, it's a stadium full of people. And if you zoom out even further, it's an entire city of which the people playing the football game are just teeny tiny little dots. So we're not saying they don't exist. We're just allowing our cooperation with our autonomic nervous system to put things in perspective. Allow me to continue. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever discord or harmony we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were fleetingly melting into the simplicity of just sound. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever pleasure or pain we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the simplicity of just sensation. This is not a belief. This is not a trick. This is just what happens when we cooperate with our viscera. The same thing happens with the duality of external or internal, or physical or mental, or interesting or boring, or glorious or grotesque. We still perceive them, but we are less captivated by them. Once again, this is not through repression. This is through cooperation. Consider, if you will, the Mahayana concept of the 5 mental poisons. What are the 5 mental poisons? Traditionally, they are taught as being hate, greed, confusion, jealousy, and pride. So think of it this way. We are taught that they are opposites, respectively. Well, let's put it this way. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever hate or mirror-like wisdom we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the simplicity of emptiness. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever greed or discerning wisdom we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the same taste of emptiness. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever befuddlement or all-pervading wisdom we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the same taste of emptiness. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever jealousy or all-accomplishing wisdom we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the simplicity. They could feel as if they were melting into the same taste of emptiness. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever pride or equalizing wisdom we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the same taste of emptiness. Now, you could say, dude, what if that's just a mental game? Won't our dread and desire and befuddlement and jealousy and pride just run amok? That's an excellent question. But here's the funny thing. The more we cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system, the more the anxiety and aggression of our amygdala is calmed, the more peaceful we become, the more loving we become, the more our choices and utterances and deeds flow, not from calculated contrivance, not from wild scatteredness, but from love's deeply centered spontaneity. We have already evolved to be empathetic and cooperative and wise. The more we flow from love-centered spontaneity, the more we will be able to use every organelle in our brains and our central nervous systems with the utmost of sustainability. When we compare the autobiographies of Nobel laureates, we see the same thing, that they possessed great analytical intellect, that they learned the minutiae of their field of study, and once they'd mastered the minutiae, they were able to approach it creatively. Perhaps that is why Einstein insisted that creativity was intellect at play. The question is not, do we have a front of our brain? The question is not, should we use it? The question is, what is the most efficient way to use the front of our brain? The most sustainable way. The way that helps us to access the inner genius that is our birthright. Our cooperation with our autonomic nervous system is the key that unlocks the door to both intellectual, creative, and moral genius. In short, to become the person that our dog already thinks we are. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this evening's live stream together, let us sit and breathe and watch and rest. The moment you have a specific question about the philosophy or technique of meditation, simply do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about every 5 minutes or so. No problem. Let us rest the knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger. As we inhale, let us silently and mentally recite the verb feel. As we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the verb rest. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite minds. As we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite wise, thus wishing love for all minds. Let's reverse the sequence. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the noun wise. As we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite minds. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite wise. As we breathe out, let us silently and mentally recite all. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite love. As we breathe out, let us silently and mentally recite all, as if we were wishing that each being's experience of the interpersonal would be profoundly loving. Let us lovingly wish that all beings, that each form of each being be lavished with health in the most wonderful way. Let us lovingly wish that each circumstance of each being be lavished with good fortune in the most wonderful way. As silently and mentally we recite boon on the in-breath and all on the out-breath. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's morning lesson, followed by the group practice of meditating like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.